statements on the European Council. Before going on to parliamentary questions, I wish to advise the House that 25 deputies have submitted matters under Standing Order 29A, which will be listed in the official debate. The matters raised by the following deputies have been selected for discussion: 1 Deputy Anne Mabbutt, 2 Deputy Pat Deering, 3 Deputy Michael Fitzmaurice and 4 Deputy Brian Stanley. We now proceed to questions, priority questions. Priority question number 39 is in the name of Deputy Niamh Smith.
So, to ask the Minister if the Arts Council will be publishing a new arts and disability policy for 2017 and if she will make a statement on the matter.
Thank you, Deputy. And Hannah.
Now, under the Arts Act 2003, primary responsibility for the promotion and support of the arts, including arts and disability throughout the country, is devolved to the Arts Council. The Arts Council is independent in relation to its funding and executive decisions. In 2013, the Arts Council published its Arts and Disability Policy 2012 to 2016 to address issues of equity, access and participation for artists and audiences with disabilities, and this is available on the Council's website. The policy was developed in consultation with a wide range of stakeholders, and the Arts Council continues to work in partnership with the sector in its implementation. The policy is built on a number of key values, including equality, the social model of disability, complexity and diversity of people and practices, a holistic approach and inclusion. Arts Council policy recognises the complexity and diversity of people and practices that make up the arts sector in Ireland. It acknowledges and values the artistic contribution of artists and other art professionals with disabilities and is committed to the provision of support not only for artists and other art professionals but also for participants, artistic collaborators and audiences with disabilities. The Council itself also makes every effort to provide reasonable accommodation for people with disabilities who wish to submit an application but have difficulties in accessing online services. I understand that the Arts Council's Arts and Disability Policy is due to be reviewed and updated in the context of the Arts Council's new 10-year strategy, Making Great Art Work. It is expected to be published over the coming months, and I will ask the Arts Council to reply directly to the Deputy regarding its plans for a policy document.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Minister. Well, as you said yourself there, the last strategy that we saw from the Arts Council on the arts and disabilities did end in 2016, and as we know, that did outline the Arts Council's approach to access to the arts for people with disabilities. It provided much needed opportunity for people with disabilities to give their input into the department, into your department, and outline their difficulties they experience in accessing arts and the cultural sector here in Ireland. Since the plan has expired, though, Minister, we don't see any effort being made to replace it. And despite the fact that people with disabilities continue to experience huge challenges in terms of accessing arts and culture, both the artists with disabilities and, of course, those who have disabilities, there's two strands to this particular debate. In Ireland, there's a very low level of participation by children with special educational needs into structured cultural activities. This does not only affect young people and children. Many adults with disabilities report frustrations and difficulties in accessing the arts.
Thank you, Deputy.
Just to say that the policy regarding people with disabilities and access to the arts, that is a matter for the Arts Council, and as the Deputy will be aware, the Arts Council is entirely independent of my department in relation to its funding and indeed its executive decisions. But I will ask the Arts Council to revert back to you directly, Deputy, which I am sure they will be more than happy to do in terms of the policy that they are devising. I might just say that in terms of my own department, the Deputy will be aware that I recently announced the successful applicants of the 9 million Arts and Cultural Capital Scheme, and of course that was the largest investment in our regional arts facilities in over a decade. 85% of the funding went to projects outside of Dublin, and of course the Deputy will be familiar with the Town Hall in Cavan that received 750,000, the Patrick Kavanagh Centre in Inniskeen and the Old Post Office in Clones, who all received funding. But it's important to point out that all of these major capital projects must comply with the strict building guidelines and regulations which are in place in relation to disability access, and that's only right because we want those state-of-the-art facilities and amenities to be inclusive and available for everybody to use and to enjoy.
Minister, as you know, if we do not provide an arts and disability policy, we are failing to extend access to people with disabilities, and not only that, we are failing to meet our international obligations, as you know, namely Article 30 of the UN Convention for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So we have had Creative Ireland and their beautiful publication here. We have had Culture 2025. In the Creative Ireland publication to date, I have not seen anything specific to people with disabilities, and I just wondered if you would comment on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, the Arts Council, as you know, has supported the development of arts and disability practice in Ireland for many years and developed a formal arts and disability policy, as I said, in 2012, following consultation with a wide range of stakeholders. So the issue here is that the Arts Council are independent and they do have a policy. They've said they're going to review that policy in terms of the 10-year strategy Making Great Art Work, and I'd be very happy to arrange for the Arts Council to speak to you and to give you an update on their policy in relation to disability. But the policy that they did have is built on a number of key values, and it's about equality, and the social model of disability recognises that access must be considered at the earliest. Sorry, Deputy?
Creative Ireland publication in terms of any mention of people with disabilities in that, not the arts.
Yeah, well, it's the Arts Council that has responsibility in terms of the policy for people with disability, and that's the situation.
Thank you. Only one speaker at a time, please. We move on to